Good afternoon. I'm Spot On Weather Meteorologist Matthew Euler, and today we're going to take a look at the extended outlook. We're going to go look at some of the teleconnections in more depth, and we're going to take a look at possibly what could be coming up down the line here for southeastern Virginia over time. We're going to start it off with the extended outlook or forecast for Virginia Beach. What we expect today, this afternoon, we have high pressure in control, a high of 58. As I just put out on the Veterans Day forecast, we will expect a low of 44 this evening. A lot of sun tomorrow, mild conditions before the next cold front blows through the area. We're looking at a high of 67 on Friday. Then temperatures drop pretty rapidly Friday evening, overnight Friday night, into Saturday morning, down to a low of 41. Saturday, very chilly air in place. High pressure from Canada comes down into the mid-Atlantic. High of only 53 on Saturday. And then Saturday night looks to be the coldest night. By Sunday morning, we're all the way down to 36 degrees. And we could have wind chills easily into the 30s that particular night and into Sunday morning. We also want to caution that frost and freeze advisories may be issued by the National Weather Service for southeastern Virginia for especially Saturday night into Sunday morning. All right, so what I really want to delve into here on this video is the current teleconnections and how they point to a colder eastern United States for November and December. All right, so on the left I have this is the Arctic oscillation forecast, and usually when the Arctic oscillation goes negative, as indicated by the blue bars that go below that zero line there, a lot of negative Arctic oscillation values usually indicate colder pattern in the eastern United States, colder temperatures troughing. As you can see, it briefly goes positive, the AO, through 16 November, but then it drops and dives again to the negative territory. The North Atlantic oscillation, on the other hand, that has to do more with high latitude blocking, and it also favors where you get a very strong high pressure system over Greenland, which you get the deep troughs over the eastern United States. With that big upper level block in place over Greenland, it tends to block the cold air from moving readily offshore. It also favors a condition where you get more nor'easters, nor'easter type storm systems or coastal lows that form off of Cape Hatteras and move up the coast. If you take a look here, the NAO is also favored to go negative after a brief stint as being positive around the middle of November. And then this is a real intriguing teleconnection that's looked at, and it's more so in the Pacific. It's a Madden-Julian oscillation. So when we look at the Madden-Julian oscillation, we look for different phases. Each one of these numbers represents a phase. So there's 8 total phases, 1 through 8. Okay, and then the green line right here, that indicates how the phases are changing over time with the forecast. The period is 10 November to 24 November, as indicated there at the top of the graphic there. But as you can see, we're heading towards phase 7, and then we're eventually going to curve around to phase 8, and then phase 1. And then wrap back around into phase 2. I should mention that phases 8 and phases 1 generally favor colder troughing in the eastern United States and in warmer conditions in the western U.S. So these are just some teleconnection patterns. One you might be familiar with is El Nino, the southern oscillation, El Nino and La Nina. So all these negative the negative AO and then the negative NAO forecast, as well as going to phase 8 and phase 1 of the Madden-Julian oscillation, generally will indicate a colder eastern United States. All right, and to prove that, I'm going to throw up a couple analog charts from the past winters. Well, this is the past November on the left and December on the right. And this is what happens typically with temperatures if it's a negative Arctic oscillation, which I just showed you is going to it's forecast to go negative. So for example, here in November on the left, these aqua greenish colors, they indicate that temperatures are below normal. okay, -2 to -3 degrees Celsius below normal when you have a negative Arctic oscillation, which we're expecting. For December, it's also very cold across the eastern United States, indicated again by these bluer and aqua colors. Anywhere from -2 to -4 to even -5 up here in the upper Midwest with a negative Arctic oscillation. So as you can see, this favors a colder pattern based on past analogs. Now, if the North Atlantic oscillation, NAO, goes negative, I again have November on the left, and this is December on the right. Again, it's favoring colder than normal temperatures across basically from the upper Midwest to the East Coast, and that's in November if it's a negative North Atlantic oscillation. And then you get a colder than normal pattern from the upper Midwest to the eastern U.S. in December as well. So it's concerning that these trends in the teleconnection patterns are indicating a negative forecast. So the long-range thoughts with these teleconnections I just showed you, the Arctic oscillation, okay, the North Atlantic oscillation, the Madden-Julian oscillation, all those favor a colder eastern U.S. and a warmer west. All right. Also, we think about above normal snow cover and snowpack. We have that currently over Siberia as well as over Canada. All right. And typically that favors a trough with colder temperatures over the eastern United States and ultimately a colder southeastern Virginia for the latter half of November and December this year. All right. With snowpack, as air moves over snowpack, it's going to cool much more than if the ground were bare and there was no snowpack at all. It basically cools from below even more. The cooling is even greater as air masses from Canada transit over that snowpack. Also, a colder eastern United States pattern is starting to emerge on the latest GFS, the American and the European model runs today. The models have been having a tough time in the last few days, really latching on to the fact that we're going to have all these conditions are favored, the teleconnections and the above normal snowpack. But now both the European and the GFS American model are starting to show that pattern. Looking like a colder, more troughs coming, more cold air spilling down to the eastern United States over the next 10 days. All right, and I should caution that this is not the same mild start to winter that we had as last year in southeastern Virginia. If you remember last year here, we had a very mild November and an even milder December. In fact, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day reached 80 degrees in Virginia Beach last year, and it was really mild across all of Hampton Roads. So this is not the same mild start we're getting. The temperatures are already cooling rapidly at night. Today, right now at the Spot On Weather Studios, we're only at 58 degrees. We're not even going to make 60 today. We're hitting 30s and 40s at night. The water temperatures are cooling fairly rapidly now. So that's all going to play into, a positive feedback type mechanism to cause possibly colder than normal weather here to start the winter. In La Nina, the National Weather Service issued the winter outlook based on a La Nina condition. And with La Nina, you typically have winter months are generally milder and snowfall is below normal here across the Mid-Atlantic. In this case, this year, however, La Nina remains and is projected to be very weak during the winter months. So we may not see a typical La Nina winter weather pattern here with the warmer and drier conditions for the Mid-Atlantic. We might actually, these other teleconnections, the Arctic oscillation, the North Atlantic oscillation, and the Madden-Julian oscillation, those might actually be more dominant than the weaker La Nina. So that's something to keep an eye on here in the long range. And with an above normal summer and fall temperature pattern that we've experienced across this part of Virginia, a colder pattern for late fall and winter makes sense. And I talk about equilibrium and balance. Everything in nature likes to be in balance. All right. So if you have a longer period of warm air, you want to have usually nature will balance itself at some point down the line with a colder pattern. So, think about the Earth, the average temperature is 59 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. That happens because shortwave solar radiation will equal outgoing long-wave Earth radiation. So it makes sense for us to turn to a colder pattern here for the beginning of the late fall and early winter time period here. So overall, what we're looking at is models. In summary, the models are indicating a colder pattern setting up. Now we will have some milder air that will occasionally move in between these cold shots. But I will say that the conditions, the models, the teleconnections, above normal snow cover over Siberia and Canada generally tend to indicate colder temperatures in the east. All right, that's the latest from Spot On Weather, where if we're not spot on, we're not doing it right. Have a great afternoon. The forecast will be posted on the Twitter and the Facebook Spot On Weather pages. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there for tomorrow. Weather looks great. Have a good afternoon.